Hello, young artists. Today we're going to learn about two elements of art, line and space, and we're going to learn about an art technique called one-point perspective. It's a drawing technique that will put an illusion of space in your two-dimensional or flat drawings or paintings. I want to show you this photograph. This is a photograph. It's of a city. It's a cityscape. And on this building is a mural that someone painted that looks like a grand staircase that goes up to a temple with a hole in the roof, which is called an oculus. And this is totally fake. This is the flat side of a building. This creates an incredible illusion of space that's not real. Although this is a real building, this is a plain or flat side, and it certainly looks like you could walk right up there. So we're going to learn how to do something kind of like that today. I'm going to show you another piece of art that uses one-point perspective. It's this landscape by Vincent van Gogh. The trees get smaller and they're kind of in a line. This person is taller than these people, or this person. So the artist has used size and space and placement to create an illusion of depth, even though this is a poster of a painting which is also flat. These blocks, this is kind of hard to draw. I might show you this in another lesson. I'm going to move on to the next part, which is a photograph. And I want you to notice the dotted line in the road. This says France because it's a photograph of people in France. That's a loaf of French bread. I want you to notice the trees. These trees were all planted probably at the same time, so they're all about the same size. And then you see the side of the road comes together, and the tops of the trees comes together. And this gives us one-point perspective. Perspective just means how you see it. The word spec right here, the root word spec, is like spectator or spectacles. I always call these glasses, but an old-fashioned word for my glasses is spectacles. It's what I used to see. So your perspective is how you see things. This photograph is taken from eye level because the photographer was probably right there in the road when he or she took the picture. We're going to learn how to use line and space to create one-point perspective today. I want to show you one more thing. I want to show you this piece of art by Vincent van Gogh. I'm going to move this for now. I'm going to slide it back into place in a moment. This is a landscape. It is a nighttime scene of part of a village or city, and this is part of a restaurant where they have tables out on the terrace. Vincent van Gogh used one-point perspective to create a deep sense of space in this scene or in this landscape. And I want to point something out to you, and I'm going to use a ruler. If you have a ruler, you can use it for this lesson. If you don't have a ruler, I'll show you what to do if you don't have one. If you look at the side of this building, there is a diagonal line, and if I put my ruler against it, you can see where it goes. If I put my ruler at the edge of the terrace or patio, it follows along right there. I can even notice the difference in color, as if the light from this restaurant is shining on part of the street, and then this part of the street is in shadow. See, the artist has used more yellows here and more blues and greens and darker colors here. If I put my ruler along where the color changes right there, now look, I'm going to slide this magnet down to that place. I'm going to line the terrace back up with it, and I'm going to line the side of the building with it. And then I want you to notice this. The tops of these buildings here, as if they were all about the same size building, they're all about as tall. This lines up right there too. I wanted to put that white magnet there so you could see that. That would be like a dot that's somewhere hidden in this painting, and that dot is a point, and that's why we call this 1-point perspective. I'm gonna point out this, it's kind of shiny because it's laminated, another landscape that uses lines. Here's the left side of the road or the street, the right side emerges over here, and if I kept going, I promise you these lines would eventually come together at 1 point. So I'm going to teach you how to draw like this today, and I'm going to get started. But what if you don't have a ruler? You can take a scrap piece of paper and just fold it. You can fold it once or twice. If you fold it twice, it makes it a little thicker, and then it's easier to run the point of your pencil along the edge of that paper. Another thing that you can do, take one piece of paper out of your notebook, just tear it out. You can even leave this little frilly, lacy part on, fold it in half, fold it the long way, and then I like to fold it again so the paper gets a little thicker. You could fold it 3 times if you want to. It's going to be straight enough no matter how you fold it, even if you fold it a little bit crooked. And we're going to use this as a straight edge. We don't need a ruler for measuring today. We just need it for the straight edge. So I'm going to slide this photograph over, and I'm going to show you another painting. It also uses 1-point perspective. And a lot of I need some stronger magnets, but I'll show you how the bottom of the trees line up, the bottom of these trees line up, and the edge of the road. It's a little hard to see in this, but the edge of the road is right there on the left side of the road, and then the right side of the road is here. And look what this artist has done. The artist has made a door right there. It's kind of like it draws your eye right to it. You can see a mountain behind this building, and you can see the sky above that. So the actual horizon line is kind of down here somewhere. So we're going to need to use a horizon line today, and we're going to need to use 1 point. I'm going to slide this out of my way, and I'm going to start drawing. I'm going to use a Sharpie so that you can see my line better, and I'm going to use a ruler. I'm not using the dry erase board because if I try to slide my ruler around, it'll just smear all the lines. So I'm going to use paper today, and I've put it on this green background so you can see the difference, and you can see the edge of my paper here. You can see a green border all the way around it. I turned my paper the tall way for a reason. If I turned it the wide way, which is called landscape, my ruler won't fit all the way across, and I might need for it to. So I turned my paper the tall way. If you're using a small sketchbook to draw today, kind of like this kind that we made, a regular ruler is going to be big enough, and even your scrap paper or notebook paper that you're using for a straight edge is going to be big enough. Here's another sketchbook that I have. It's going to be big enough for you to work on 1 page. Remember, this is just practice. If you mess up, erase or redraw. We're just practicing today. I'm going to make a simple landscape that has some flat land. So I'm going to make a line that goes across. If yours doesn't go perfectly level or horizontal, that's okay. I'm going to go about, I don't want to go halfway. It can be a little boring sometimes. And if I go really low, I will have a lot of sky above the horizon line, and I won't have much land. So this time, I'm going to make, and I want you to make, your horizon line a little bit above the middle part, top, bottom, middle. I want it to be up a little higher, about 1/3. And so I'm going to line that up, and I'm going to make a line that goes all the way across. I want to add some mountains, but they're going to be really far away. You don't have to add the mountains if you want to. I just want to do it to make it interesting. And I'm left-handed, so I'm going to make my point in 1-point perspective on the left side so that I can stand over here and you can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to make a little dot. Now I'm not making it very big. I don't want you to make yours big at all. I want you to make yours teeny tiny. I'm making mine a little bit bigger so you can see it. And I'm going to make some mountains beyond that horizon line. Okay? Now I want to make the sides of a road, and I need to make a long diagonal line. You know, sometimes we draw a road and it goes straight up to the sky, and we don't know how to get it just right. This is a way to do it. If I try to go this way, my ruler is not long enough, so I'm going to make it come over to the side. See, I have enough room there. So I'm going to put one end of my ruler right on that dot, right on it. Not above it, not below it, not next to it, but right on that dot. Remember, you need to make your dot really teeny tiny. And I'm going to draw a line that represents the left side of the road. I'm going to pivot. So I'm going to keep this part of my ruler right on that dot, and I'm going to pull my ruler up a little bit like that, and this will make a really long pointy triangle. And I'm going to barely touch it. With your pencil point, it's not as thick as this, so it'll be a little easier for you. And I'm going to pull this along my ruler. I got to hold my ruler really still. And now I'm showing, I got off a little bit right there, but I'm showing you the left side and the right side of the road. Now I have to make an estimate. That's something you do in math. I'm going to guess. I'm going to try to find where is the center between this top line and this bottom line, and I think it's right about there. And I'm going to make a little mark right there. My ruler should reach. And this next part, it's very important that you draw light until you get it right. And I'm going to make a line, and I'm going to hold my ruler very still. And that's going to be that dotted line that you see painted down the middle of a 2-lane highway. I'm going to skip a space. I'm going to take my ruler off in just a second so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to skip a space, and I'm going to make another line that's not as long. I'm going to move my ruler now so you can see it better. I skipped a space. This line is not as long as this line. I'm going to go back to this dot. This one point right here is everything. That's called the vanishing point. It's where things get so small they vanish. You can't see them anymore. And I'm going to skip a shorter amount of space, and I'm going to make a line that's shorter. I'm going to do that another time. I'm going to go smaller space, shorter line. I'm going to put my ruler back in place, line it up with these lines. I've spread my fingers apart and my thumb so I can hold my ruler very still, and I'm going to finish. I'm going to skip a smaller space and make a shorter line, a smaller space. And now, pretty soon, I'm just making little dots. And then the dots get so close together, it looks like a solid line, like that. This creates the illusion of space because there's really no space here, it's just flat. And then I have my one point, that's my vanishing point. I'm gonna add a few more things. I'm not gonna do a building, it's kind of hard. I think I'm just gonna do some trees. So I wanna show you how to get the height of the tree correct and the bottom of the tree where it comes out of the ground. So I'm gonna go up here and I'm gonna figure out how tall do I want the tree that's nearest me. Now, I'm gonna make a mark, I'm gonna switch to a pencil, and I'm gonna make a very light line, and I will erase that later. So I used a pencil, and then I'm gonna pivot, I'm gonna leave my ruler on that point, and I'm gonna come down next to the road, and I'm gonna make another line. This will make a big triangle. So this will be where the bottom of the trees are, along this line, and this will be where the tops of the trees are, along this line, just like this artist did, except we can't really see the top of the tree, so I'm gonna fix that. Oh, I'm gonna show you how to do that. So I wanna just draw a tree here. I'm gonna switch to my marker. Now, some of these lines will be in the way, and you can color it in later. I'm gonna draw a tree right here. It's gonna be big, it's gonna be close up, so I'm gonna give it some detail. I'm gonna start right about here, and I'm gonna make 2 parallel lines, and I'm gonna kind of color that in to give it some detail. At the bottom, I wanna do a little curve, just a little curve. This helps make the trunk of that tree look round. I'm not gonna draw a bunch of branches. I'm just gonna color in the tree later, and I'm gonna go about where that pencil line is, like that. So this would all get colored in. And you can color it later with crayon. You can erase that line. Depends on what materials you're using. And that's where that tree would be right there. I'm going to skip a space, just like I did with this broken line, and I'm gonna start another tree right here. I'm only gonna do about 4 trees. I'm gonna put these lines closer together. I'm gonna make that curve right there, and I'm gonna fill in that tree. I'm gonna stop when I get to that pencil line and color this in. So now I've got overlapping. The trees kind of run together the way that these do. I can color this in for a little detail. I want to skip a slightly shorter space and add in another tree. I'm going to put these lines closer together. It's just like drawing a number 11. There's my pencil line, so that's going to be the top of my tree right there. And this is an easy way to draw a tree, not much detail. And then I'm going to scoot on down here, not as far. It's a little shorter every time. And I'm just going to color that in. There's my pencil line, so this tree only goes to right there. And I'm going to color that in. I think I've got room for one more itty bitty tree that's really far away. And I'm going to skip another space. And I'm going to add that in. Setting up your horizon line, your vanishing point, that's the point, your road, this line, this takes some practice, and then adding in the trees should take you about 20 minutes in your sketchbook. Of course, you can color it in. I said I would erase this line. I'm going to go back and erase that line. I drew it very lightly, so it's easy to erase. And these are 2 things that you can use to show that you understand how to use 1-point perspective with lines to show a deep space in a landscape. I'll see you soon, young artists.